Hey everybody, and welcome back to the SalttyShow, and welcome back to our mod Chao Let's Play on Total War 3 Kingdoms, episode 45. Hope you guys doing well today. If you are, like and subscribe as always. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into this recap of the events of basically the year. Can't actually see it on my replayer, but the recap of the last, well, decades worth of warfare. In the last episode, we finally announced our claim to imperialship, and we are contesting the throne, securing 2 seats of power, leaving the Kingdom of Wu with only 1 left in the deep southeast of China. Obviously, it's going to be the hardest one to get, but we are making swift gains. Thankfully, we have a lot more forces in the south this wartime around. Compared to the normal 2, we have now went all the way up to 4 armies in the south. Really shows how heavy our economy is kicking. By far, it's one of the longest campaigns I've played and one of the strongest economies I've ever had in 3 Kingdoms. I'm sure plenty of you all have had more and stronger ones, but this one's definitely one of my kickers for sure. But we are in precarious situations up here in the north, as they do still outnumber us. I believe they have some armies in the fog of war that we are going to find. But we have to, we want to make sure we maintain the imperial seats of power. Meaning, we're gonna need more forces up here, because the north is stretched pretty thin right now between the three leading armies up there. But that southern one is getting a lot closer. The target is going to be Secure Way. Meanwhile, it is extremely precarious over there in former Shu-Han territory, as the Kingdom of Wu was pressing down on their throats, and we managed to give them a way out of dying. With that, we are going to link up with securing the Wei commandery, going right into delegating the battle and linking up those 2 forces, as we need to get this southern of the 3 northern armies. We need to get them together, and we are going to obviously do the pay the doctors and move on from that. Whether we just have some demolishing and building to do, but our goal is to obviously we're gonna head west to secure and ping, and that way we can bring our armies to bear upon probably the counterattack that the Kingdom of Wu in the north are going to give us. I am looking at assignments just for fun there, but we thankfully are not struggling as bad as we were in the last episode and the one before that on character. So we really were hitting our limit. With the limits, we are also going to make sure that the Wu know that they've reached theirs in the north.
As a whole.
Nurture passion.
Eliminating this army that decided to land upon our shores. They are taking attrition, thankfully, leading to a decisive battle. One that will kick them right back into the sea in which they came.
Celebrate! Our victory was just.
The AI, I've noticed, really loves Zhongnu brutes. So I definitely think that'll be something in one of my next series. I'm probably going to remove some of the unit mods that I have.
And you will be
it is kind of unfortunate because I do have some favorites in there, but the AI seems to really prioritize problems, and this is probably one of the most dipping points in the story. Paying D has finally died of natural causes. It was truly unfortunate he didn't get to see the end of this campaign. However, unlike his dear friend Ma Tong, he lived a lot longer to see the fruition of their kingdom for sure. There's no doubt about it that we are right and righteous in our claim to the imperialship. We remained loyal. Along with that, we did have one of our vassal heirs die immediately upon getting him, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. I was recruiting a pretty cool unit roster that I wanted to use, but we're gonna have to move on from that, and we are going to I'm going to pick Zhang Feng, or Zhang Fei, I think, if I remember correctly here, looking at all the characters. And moving on from that, it's either Zhang Fei or Lu Min. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Zhang Fei. But he is also he's really old, but I was going to fix his retinue that way to at least be able to keep the forces. Now, I did realize that upon reading this, that I could have kept the old retinue with Zhang Fei, but it really wouldn't have mattered. I think we can get some pretty cool, we can get units that we need from him more. Plus, we might as well employ him. A noble birth. And infant mortality is wreaking across China. But yes, we are pushing and we are making our way through. And like I said, they do have forces hidden in the fog of war against Zhongsheng there and other places. Our east is, or well, our most easterly point is a batch of chaos. Truly is a batch of chaos. Into the south, though, our mighty forces are pushing. I'm trying to make sure that we keep everybody up to date, and I'm trying to figure out what is so special about this character, as he has a fancily equipped weapon. He's apparently a legendary champion, Gongsun Feng, which makes sense after now reading his name, Gongsun Feng. It does make sense why he has a locked weapon and what looks like a unique character design. Well, most of our characters are unique, and that does lead to some odd issues, but we are moving to secure Changsha, reclaiming the land that which was lost to us. There is very minimum resistance so far in the south, but as we get further on into this episode, we will realize that it is most definitely not going to stay that way. And we do have forces down here in the south chasing Ma Chao. However, that is of little to concern to us, as we are going to slaughter them.
China!
They were in no conditions to fight, so it was a very swift victory. We do capture them, but we're obviously going to release
Run back to your masters. Duty awaits.
Keep positive relationships everywhere.
This is what you train for.
With that, sorry everybody, did just get a random text. But with that, we are going to move north, using our new army here by Qingnu to push in the center. We do uncover an army there, and it is something we'll have to pay attention to next turn. A lot of our attention, though, is going to be fixated up here in the north and the northeast, reestablishing, or well, maintaining the status quo and order, as Shu-Han were on the brink of collapse before we took over, which is why they submitted to us. However, that does mean their territories and their forces are scattered and struggling. Thankfully, the Kingdom of Wu, I guess, was unstable at the time, as their forces hesitated. If they had combined their forces and made a solid push, it probably would have been an extremely fair and hard battle. But we're going to take the advantage while we have it, and we're going to secure a beehive there. For the meantime, trying to cut off more forces, but I realize the predicament that we have put him in. Despite them suffering a kingdom-wide food shortage, which really helps our situation for now.
I am at your disposal.
Maji there is in a bit of a pickle. He is cut off from most of his forces. I'm looking to see if I can maybe level up our guys any better to where they might be able to stand the oncoming onslaught, but it was to no avail, truly. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and, well, do some unit recruitment and make sure our forces are good to go where we can. And I am thinking about swapping out the tower archers, because due to their low morale, we really don't want more people to run, and swapping them potentially for something a little beefier. But as you can see, I'm in quite the struggle here. I enjoy the spears, but the fact is they're just not strong, and this army desperately needs higher morale forces. You can really, but the fact is this army obviously had crossbows, but we do need something. So I figured at least getting some protectors of heaven in there would maybe mean a good sizable difference. Getting the protectors of heaven in there with their high morale and extremely strong armor, they can back up the sword guard and protect the artillery a little easier than the spear guards, as they tended to break immediately upon contact, say if it was a night battle or not. With that though, we are going to bring our cavalry army up here, which we do have quite the treat in today's episode. But we're going to bring them up here into Bihan to try and support Maji, as
meditate on peace.
The pickle I put ourselves in here is we're going to be outnumbered and potentially outmatched up here if they decide to muster their forces, which normally the AI is pretty good at counter-attacking when it realizes it has overwhelming odds, which it does currently in the Shu-Han seat, or imperial seat. Meanwhile, the north is looking sizably okay for now. but we are going to get into the battle as we have a southern approach where enemies attacked us, and the odds are not in our favor. It is like 3-to-1 odds, and it's not good. And this is our full cavalry force, so we're going to deploy some Total War Attila tactics here, some Hunnic tactics where we don't have a single ground troop, and we're going to have to make use of that with our men. Using our Quang Marauders and our generals to attack the reinforcing army before they can stabilize and pushing in there. With that, it is quite risky. However, the rest of our force will sit back and relax for now in archer formations and prepare for the battered remnants of the army that decided to attack us. We're going to try and snipe their generals. However, it is coming at a daring cost for the most part, as the initial assault did not go as well. Their infantry really bottled up. We're not losing men yet, but it is most definitely
kill you, if only to shut you up.
Predicament to be in because we can't get solid charges off. However, we are able to target a lot of their cavalry. But with their generals outnumbering us, it is hard to maintain the morale if we're not near our own. And you can see that happening there with our Quang Marauders, sitting at almost a full stack and they're running. Morale in Three Kingdoms is not finicky, but it's most definitely a system that you can quickly abuse with the general abilities, which I don't think it's a negative thing, for the most part. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you think about the morale system in Three Kingdoms? Obviously, we're playing on Wreckers mode. Normally, Wreckers mode, you don't have the general abilities. However, I do think that takes away from the experience. Like, you can have general abilities, I feel like. It still adds a nice layer of gameplay to your generals, making them a little unique.
This is the end for you.
It does get kind of gamey though, because if you can, I guess if you 3-stack a red general, you can debuff a full stack unit of decent quality into the ground, and it doesn't matter, they won't hold. That is something I didn't think about, but we've already lost one Quang Marauder, unfortunately, down here in our excursions, and their cavalry are not giving up. So we're going to try and turn around most our forces and engage them. And then we are unfortunately going to lose probably another Quang Marauder. One thing I have noticed in this battle is skirmish mode does not necessarily work right off the bat in Three Kingdoms. I definitely learned the hard way, as you can see there with our Quang Hunters getting chopped to bits. Thankfully our archers aren't too bad, but you can definitely see that the skirmishing abilities are not working out the way they should be. We are, though, thankfully, far enough away from the reinforcing army to where we are just dealing with our cavalry, and it's making a load of difference. Our archers are skirmishing. Thankfully, even if you're telling them to move, they will fire, so that we can do our own skirmishing tactics, because if not, this would have been a poor decision. We're going to bring in our rear generals here, the ones that could not join the advanced vanguard, and push the enemy out. Give our archers some breathing room. We have, however, apologies there, my English is just falling to bits today. We have managed to defeat their cavalry contingents with our marauding forces, and now the goal is to pull them around through the forest and link up with our archers. Or, well, our horse archers. We do have a time limit, though. We really need to try and deal with these forces before they all link up. Hey, buddy. We really need to tie them down as swiftly as we can. Thankfully, the archer tower, I didn't put it exactly in the best placement, because I didn't think we'd get to use it too much. But later on in the game, or in the battle, it does become rather important, as its range is wide and a consistent arrow fire, the AI does not target it. It's pretty nice. Not to mention, we do have White Horse Fellows in this army, and the Quang Marauders themselves, or the Quang Raiders, I believe that's what they're called. I mean, in a pickle, they're not too bad in a melee, especially against archer forces. But we are really, I think this shows, I've never used cavalry tactics in Three Kingdoms this way, the way you would, say, in like Total War Attila. The skirmishing tactics you can employ there are rather annoying, to say the least. Very gimmicky, but it can bode well. I mean, this is a historical thing to where forces would never engage in outright combat, as they realized they would lose, so they would just continue to skirmish. And that is what we're going to do here. We are going to continue to skirmish our forces, and thankfully, I don't know where they're keeping them, but these horse archers have abundant ammo. It's actually quite insane. I feared that we'd run out too swiftly or that we would get bogged down, but thankfully the AI doesn't prioritize range too much other than the Defenders of Earth, which is another issue I feel like in the AI. Like the Defenders of Earth are a good archer unit in 1 to 2 units, I believe. Having a lot of them, I feel like it can be a waste of space rather quickly. So we've routed one of their generals. We've actually routed a lot of their army. Unfortunately, one of ours is getting kind of wavery down there in the bottom left, you can see, but we are really making short work of a lot of their troops here. Thankfully, skirmish mode has seemed to start to pay off, and the AI is really struggling to align itself. They're kind of moving into this kill box and, well, staying there. They can't catch our cavalry, and what little range they have is no match for our superior amount. And once we're done mopping up routing forces, we're allowed to move in. Speaking of routing, our Quang Marauders have finally gotten back into the fray, and they're going to go help out our general here to make sure we have a sizable number difference there. Some of our archers are running out of ammo, so the hasty work of melee must pursue. Thankfully, our general decided he's done worrying about leaving, and he's going to bolster the troops. He does go back and forth, though. He is quite the uncertain man being engaged in that situation.
The enemy unit
Which, thankfully, a lot of their army decided for some reason to go through the forest, chasing after a cavalry, I believe, and that is leading to them taking a long time to get here. Meaning this first army, we can basically utterly devastate, and we're definitely taking full advantage of that. We need to rout their generals because all of them are grouped up here, and once you rout generals in 3 kingdoms, it's pretty, like every Total War, I think, it's extremely easy to win the battle after that. I don't know if there's a Total War game where that's not true. Let me know in the comments below if you can think of any. I'm trying to go off the top of my head. For sure, the last couple of historical titles, if you lose your general, the game's over, basically, for the most part. 3 Kingdoms, Attila, Thrones, I forgot about Thrones, but Attila Thrones, and Rome 2 all have. Rome 2, I think you can run without your general a little easier. I do believe it's a little more forgiving if you lose your general, especially if you have units that don't care if their general dies, which does help the battlefield a lot. But other than that, I think that's all. I mean, Shogun 2, Medieval 2, all of them. Medieval 2 is probably the least, actually, I think. If you lose your general, units do rout, but I feel like it doesn't. I mean, it can change the battle, but I do definitely think you've got a lot more leeway in Medieval 2. Rome 2, you lose your general, I think your army's done for. As well, it depends on the tier here, though. Truly does depend. Most our archers, though, are now in the melee engagement, so we're going to have to be a little careful with this. So we're going to pull our forces out as their secondary army has finally moved in and reinforced. And we're going to try and pull our boys out, reestablish some formations, and prepare to push again. This was quite an exciting battle for me. It took a lot of micromanaging, but when you have a full cavalry army and you're solely focused on the micromanage, I believe it gets a little easier. Excuse me. I believe it gets a little easier because that's all you're doing, and you don't have a stagnant force. So we're going to pull out, though, let them come to us, and we're going to encircle what little remains. As you can see, we started this battle heavily outnumbered. We have definitely taken casualties, but compared to them, it's rather nothing. And they're sending a lot of these forces piecemeal by piecemeal, so we can do some heavy damage to them. They do have some unfortunate Defenders of Earth still with ammo that we're going to have to deal with. But for the most part, we're able to get in there. We do need to be careful. We're using our generals and our Quang Marauders very precariously, as they still hold most of our melee ability. But the White Horse Fellows, I think that's who they are. It's either Fellows or Followers, but they are, while skirmish-based, their melee stats are nothing to scoff at, along with the Quang Raiders. And as you can see there, yeah, we're breaking them with our majority now, where most of their units just cannot survive the cavalry charge, which in most Total Wars cavalry is 3 Kingdoms, though. really implement some ridiculous cavalry, I think, biasness. I feel like it's hard to get cavalry down right, though, especially in Total War. But that is not my problem for today. My problem for today is making sure this army survives. And they are doing a rather good job of it. I was hesitant going into this battle. I did not think we were going to win. I thought we were doomed for it. But so far, as you can see, things have really turned around. Most of their forces, despite being of higher quality and a lot more men, are just in no position to hold their ground, and they do crumble, leading to a swift and decisive victory. It says close,
From the
but
roots
I think it was pretty decisive.
Return them
They had,
to their kin.
2,500 to our 885. Quite the number difference, and they did suffer for it. But moving back to the north, as that army has gained some rest, we are going to recruit a new force. Or, well, not recruit a new force just yet, but we are actually having to redeploy Maji. As if you notice, we lost Bi-Han. We managed to escape as the AI did awake from its slumber and link up its forces up there in the north, and they're pushing on us quite desperately. It was a rather fearful moment, but things are looking well. We are securing and pinging this turn. The garrison is sizable, but no match for the auto-resolve gods.
Select a coherent strategy.
And we're going to push on that. I wouldn't want to defend that territory either, considering the fact that you'd get the farmland battle map, and those things are just impossible to defend with a garrison. But our forces are linking up. Oh, sorry everybody. Don't know what she heard, but apparently she thought she heard something. With that, we are starting to see some forces here, and we notice we did trade provinces, the Zhongshan commanderies. We are thankfully though going to march on in there and re-secure the commander capital. They didn't even destroy anything of ours, so no harm, nothing lost. And all three of our armies are rather close together. I'm going to take a quick look at getting some more forces here, but I do believe our Quang Marauders, despite being the first units we get in the game as cavalry, basically, there's no real reason to replace them, which I think goes to show that they're one of the best cavalry units in the game for their cost and availability. Everyone can get them as far as I know. And really, who needs better than that? The veteran lancers are really good. There are a lot of other good cavalry units in the game, but Quang Marauders offer a huge charge, low cost, and everybody can get them. Meanwhile, we are going to slowly push our way over here in the center, but not by normal means. We're actually going to set up a nice little ambush here in the little forestry on the road, hiding this full stack, and hopefully tricking that general into thinking that the road lies open. Meanwhile, Zhu Liang here is going to continue recruiting force in the southern bits that we got here from Shu-Han with Zhang Fei. We're going to switch up his army just a little bit. He definitely doesn't need officers in his army, nor does he really need white feather warriors. We have Shu defenders, I believe, in Zhang Fei's army, or in Zhu Liang. Maybe potentially I'd say it. So we're gonna trade out some of them, and over here with our commander, we're gonna go ahead and grab some more cavalry units. Looking to get, I do apologize, I'm currently fending off Winston. We are gonna get some more Quang Raiders. See how they do. Oh, he got my finger. But we are going to continue doing that and make our way north. We're going to push for Haishi and let that army do its job. I do like it. I don't think the Zhang Fei is going to last too much longer. And here in the south, you can see the repercussions of that battle that we just watched. Both their armies are in desperate repair and running. Unfortunately, though, they are in their territory, and we do not have the manpower, I think, to lay siege to Po Yang there. So we're going to pull back and recover our forces, because I know that we can win a defensive battle, but I don't think going on the offense with that army in foreign territory is a good idea.
When justice triumphs, revelry
So we are going to
awaits.
secure Changsha, and this force is going to make its way north to link up with that cavalry unit after they proved their worth. Ma Chao is going to move to secure Ling Ling.
of China!
I'm probably butchering that as well. But we're going to secure this little bamboo, or I think it's a lumber yard.
Fight with utter belief,
for
and you
ourselves.
will be undefeatable!
Securing that commandery. Now, obviously Ming Ho,
Point
Ming
forwards as
Ho
one.
is our vassal once again,
Remain
and he
sharp.
is fighting alongside us, but I really am trying to make sure he doesn't win. Great news though, the armies in the north of the Shu-Han territory decided to pressure us, and in a devastating loss, they tried to do a night battle, or a ground battle, not deploying all of their armies in here at
I am
once,
not without mercy.
and losing,
Under one banner.
taking very few of our men with them, and really hurting the left-turn, or the northern advance for them. However, that doesn't exactly bode very well. We are going to pull away from that. Night battles are a trap, to say the least. They are a trap with that many. But our ambush works down here in the center, and it is going to be a close victory, one that we don't need to worry about fighting. We can engage them. The only reason most of these battles are close is due to the Defenders of Earth and the couple of units they are bringing, such as the Protectors of Heaven and the Shu-Han. Defenders, I think is what they're called, or the Shu Defenders. I hope you can't hear his breathing. I know you can hear his footsteps, because I hear them in normal videos. But Ming Ho is gonna try to prove his loyalty to us again. Oh, no, Bobby, stop. No. Sorry, everybody. I am trying my hand at miniatures and war games. I have finally bought a starter army painter. It's not Warhammer. I'm not exactly... It looks really cool, but it wasn't my first pick. I am far more of a medieval guy when it comes to that stuff, I believe. So I went for a board game called Conquest.
Now,
The Last Argument of Kings. I've never heard of it before, but I bought a miniature set from them that you have to assemble and paint. And I still need to get some miniature paint. I think it's plastic glue. Still need to get some of that stuff for the figures, but I'm trying my hand at that. I had it out, and Winston just decided to try and take a little sniff, maybe a little bite out of some of the guys, and just goes to show I need to get another table for like a workstation if I want to make that one of my hobbies. But without further ado, we are going to continue moving on, securing some here and there pockets of Wu territory. And as you can see, they're trying to make a counterattack to secure their, reclaim their imperial throne in the north. We're going to make sure though that that can't happen. We're going to quick save though, and go ahead and send them packing. Now, obviously, I am contemplating bringing a third army up here, but I think these two can handle it. Sorry.
The people's voice
And
cannot
they
be
can. And as you
silenced.
can see, like I said in the previous statements earlier this video, lots of Zhongnu brutes, and it's one thing I definitely will be taking
They
out
have
of in
suffered
the next
enough.
series. With that, some minor level ups. Man, I can't talk today. We are going to bring back the Western Army though in Anping, as we have finally secured more territory. We have a solid border with them, with a lot of capital cities being on the front line now, so a lot of walled settlements.
the people's voice cannot
However,
be silenced.
We do end up completely murdering that force. With it, we are obviously still
They
going to
have
release
suffered
troops
enough.
and pressure towards Bohai or Bohan.
Cultivate
Oh.
patience.
I don't know, man. It does make me regret not learning more languages earlier on in my youth, and I'm still trying to learn. Especially, my family partakes. Me and my fiance partake in cruising. It's one of our favorite pastimes when we can get the days off and the money for it. learning Spanish has become quite the priority for me in my, well, downtime, which is kind of fallen off, but I most definitely need to learn. With it though, we do have the siege. They have abandoned their army in Vohai, and we are going to just try to hold them out and continue our siege, bringing forth all our armies, and it's going to tip the scale in our favor just enough so that we can auto-resolve this battle and not worry about them. I do think I might lose this if I decided to play it out myself, so we're not going to risk that. We're going to go ahead and slaughter their forces.
Ensured victory. Remain flexible.
With it, we have captured a new settlement, and we are one province or one territory away from touching the coast in the north. There is some minor buildings that we need to work on, but we are getting there. I do apologize about that if y'all heard that. That was my Logitech G Hub kicking on for some reason. Every time I move my mouse, it does that, telling me what setting it is. Probably a way to turn that off. Don't know how yet. With that though, we're going to make our way secure. Bubby, sir. I haven't posted a short of him in a while. I promise he is still quite the menace. He's not changed one little bit.
The peasants.
But we are going to make our way towards that territory.
China is
it
people,
lies open.
not its oppressive warlords.
Unfortunately, it is not undefended though, as nearby there are armies. So we are going to move our forces here and try to help out. We cannot pull him back all the way. We are going to try.
Honor your ideals.
Linking up and securing our men. They need to defend, as that army in the north is a full stack,
Gather your strength.
led by certain generals that we've already defeated. They clearly did not learn their lesson. But with that, we're going to mop up Qinlu here. It's been in the Kingdom of Wu's hands for far too long, and we're going to bring it into the fold.
Authority has been restored.
I did actually try desperately to take territory that belonged to them that was, say, farmlands, as they just went through a food shortage, meaning they're extremely close to suffering that. I don't know necessarily the AI actually that was the reason for it, but I can only assume one thing or another. So targeting farmlands and fisheries, taking their very poor food situation and making it even worse, was a target of mine this episode. And also along with just tightening the noose, which we really are. Especially in the north, their forces are being beaten back really hard.
Our victory is proof.
They still have a lot,
approval.
but we're still making territorial gains on them. The south, far more precarious. It's far more open. But we are going to go back. And speaking of the north, they have launched quite the counterattack, bringing quite a few armies.
From the roots
Thankfully,
to heaven,
we managed to decisively defeat
they
two
fought
of them
only for their
while we're
to
laying
work.
siege. But there is a third
Our
on the
victory
way.
is proof of heaven's approval.
And unfortunately, they did manage to garrison the fishery. And our armies in the north are in a, well, pretty bad off position.
Reject corruption.
As you can see, I'm trying to turn the odds in our favor
Not its oppressive
enough,
warlords.
but even a Pyrrhic victory is not one I think that we can truly manage. So we're going to continue starving them out, and it's gonna have to be a battle that I actually play.
Resist
But
corruption and endure hardships.
We're not really in a hot position, and they have another army on its way. It's not fully recruited or done healing, but it's quite a problem. But everybody, that is where I'm unfortunately out of time of today, and we're going to start marching in from the north there. All for later in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, subscribe, as always. But I've been your host, Salty. Peace out.